Hello, I'm Alan Newman. I'm the editor of Sojourner.org. And in this short video, I want to talk about the difference between copy editing and content editing. I suspect that most of the editing that takes place in schools is copy editing, looking at spelling, grammar, what should be capitalized, what should be italicized. In copy editing, you tear an article apart looking for mistakes. For example, you'll tear a sentence apart to look at whether or not the subject and verb agree. Content editing is a much more holistic type of editing. I begin a content edit by reading the full article, getting a sense of the information in the article and the flow of the story. At its most basic level, a content edit is a fact check, making sure that the information in the story is correct. I also look at whether or not the information is attributed. And if it's attributed, is it attributed to credible sources? For example, you can't simply say that teenagers don't sleep enough at night without attributing that to some new research or a recent survey that says just that. I also look at the flow of the story. Are there claims and are the claims backed up by evidence? Does one thing follow another, or does the information contradict each other? I also look at whether or not there's contextualization in the story. You can't talk about a new technology without talking about what existed beforehand. Is the new technology faster, cheaper, better than the old technology? Similarly, if you talk about a disease, how many people are affected by this disease? Is it a common disease, a rare disease, or a newly discovered disease? If it's a discovery, is this a discovery that's well accepted by the scientific community? Or is it a new discovery that needs to be repeated to make sure that it's indeed real? Or is it a controversial discovery, or does it lead to controversial conclusions? If it's controversial, I expect to read both sides of the discussion without the author taking one side or the other, and simply leaving it to the reader to sort through the information. And then finally, I look for the voice of stakeholders. You can't write about type 2 diabetes without talking to somebody who has the disease. Similarly, you can't talk about a new technology without talking to somebody who's used it or developed it. I much prefer doing a content edit over a copy edit because, quite frankly, the current batch of software does a pretty good copy edit for you. Most software programs have a spell or grammar check, and I encourage authors to use it before they submit their article. Content edits get at the real meat of the story and are a much more interesting edit to do.